Where does life get its free will from? And what I'm speaking of is I guess all creatures, all beings. Those are said to be conscious, those are said to lack consciousness, awareness, knowledge of self. They have within them the drive for preservation of self. It is the basis for evolution. The reason for evolution, the reason for adaptation is the survival of self. For a species, for a being to continue. And yet, at the base, at the foundation of each being and its drive to live, and its drive in that preservation of self, is actually being led by life itself. Not the individual species, but life itself. The fundamental building blocks of life itself. The same as the virus and the microbes that attempt to live themselves. And these are held to have no consciousness, no minds, no brains. And yet they seek to live and they destroy other life beings to live. So at the core, at the base, inherently there is a drive for preservation of self. But the question is, you drive deeper into that is, where does that drive to preserve itself come from? Because it is said that we humans have free will, so we choose to survive. The animals that survive, they aren't choosing. It's what is it called? What does it say? Just animal nature. They're trying to survive. They don't think about surviving. They just have a natural drive to survive. Go deeper into the micro, move ourselves in the macro. Once again, those things at the micro level striving to survive. What gives life, the essence of life, what gives it that preservation of self, that will to survive? Why does life want to live? One can say, why did life even come to being? Why life? Even in religion it's held that there was one time nothing, but in the beginning it had to be created. Of course, before that beginning, it is only speaking the beginning of the material realm, because it doesn't say in the beginning God created itself. In the beginning God created other things. God existed before the beginning. Why does life want to live? Why does life want to be? And is it that very drive to live, that very drive to be is what created being? When there's nothingness, beingness decided I want to be. Existence decided that I want to exist. Life decided that I want to live. And once it lived, decided not want to die because it enjoyed living, or because it enjoyed. Why is those things that are fight so hard to not be? What is at the very, 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 very essence of all things, of all that is, that drives it, forces it, allows it to be? I was thinking of even if one, the religious, was to say, well, yes, that's God. You say that God puts within us all the desire to be, to exist. But that would have to clash in some way because we die. And we only obtain or hold that desire to exist after we already exist. We aren't born because we make ourselves be born. We're born because of what happens with our parents. Because of creation, procreation. Unless one says that we control ourselves, we actually control our parents. Before we're born, we actually make our parents make us come to being. You know, one could say that. But still, if one to say, well, God gave us to us, once again, God only gives that to those who are born. For all the billions that have been born, there are exponentially more that were not born and never came into being. So that desire to be does not exist before we be, or else all sperms would just naturally come into being by themselves. They will grow themselves into a human being, or all eggs would fertilize themselves and come into being. And no matter how great our desire to be, we are unable to will ourselves to fight death, to beat death. We can fight it. We have yet to beat it. And although we may find a way to do it artificially, that is not doing it naturally, just living forever. Unless we are one, unless all things are one, unless life itself is one, and that all beings are connected. They are only a part aspect of life, and it is life being determined to exist forever in whatever form or fashion or state of being it is, whether it is as a human or whether it is as a microbe, as a virus. It is throwing out, and it is seeking, it is trying to find out the infinite ways to beat the system, if you will. to beat death, to live forever, to never go back into non-existence. Even if it has to be a planet, even if it has to be energy, just be energy and live forever that way.